we've met like twice, I think. And I think maybe we've had one phone call, maybe a few emails, but I feel like we're best friends.
Oh, we're definitely best friends.
Do you get that a lot?
Do I make best friends?
No, do people just assume that they're like close with you even though you've met them like one time?
I think I do that to people, not that they do that to me.
Are you from the Midwest?
Yes, of course
That's
I am.
why I was just about to say, when I meet people from the Midwest, I connect right away.
Did you know? You didn't know
Whitefish
that?
Bay.
No, I had no idea.
Shorewood.
Oh, Shorewood. That's right.
Shorewood.
Not
Hello.
Whitefish Bay.
What's
Just like
Shorewood?
that's where his grandmother
In
lived.
My mom grew up in Whitefish Bay. This is Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Milwaukee. The name of that song, by the way, is called Buddy.
Aww.
And it's by somebody. I don't know. Benjamin somebody. I'll put it in the notes.
It's kind of very Mamalas-esque, like fun.
Hey, buddy.
playful.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Buddy. We're buddies.
I was like, I don't know if I like the song, but I love the name.
Have a pickle. Welcome.
And you know Rachel forever. Well, is forever a relative term, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, where's Dave Drew? I mean, Dave Drew.
Dave Downing.
Well, Drew's
Dave
there.
Downing.
Only so many microphones.
Yeah.
Plus, Dave's got 2 kids now, like very little kids.
I wonder what Dave is doing at this very moment. I bet he's like...
cursing you.
No, I think he's probably cursing someone else.
Why is he cursing Jesse?
Yeah, why would he be cursing me?
No, I said because I talked to him the other day, and I was like, "But you made the intro, and you don't get on the podcast with us."
Yeah, I wondered about that. He's like, Rachel, you should reach out to Rachel. And then I thought, well, Dave, I'm sorry, but you're not going to be on this one.
Hi, Dave. We
Yeah,
miss
hi,
you.
Dave.
Well, I brought him up because I feel like I probably met him first, right?
Very possible. I think I met John Kesson, one of your partners, in the early days of our involvement in Kendall. He was operating that little kiosk for Tuscanini's.
Right.
This was like 2005, 2006.
Probably 2006.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were at the time at Rachel's Kitchen.
Correct.
Is that right? Around 2006, you were there?
Yeah, which, ready for this? That was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I just did the math. She's right.
Fact check.
Yeah, I fact checked that right on the
Correct.
spot.
15 years.
Wow.
And I don't think we met. I mean, and then when was Hungry Mother?
We opened in March of 2008.
I miss Hungry Mother.
I
really
probably
do.
met you around that time,
Right.
2008.
That would make sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I was trying to remember how Dave and I became friendly, but it must have been through, it must have had something to do with Watermark and that whole
Kendall,
whatever.
Yeah. He's a friendly guy.
Right.
I like that you brought up one of Rachel's partners because to me, on paper, your partnership doesn't work.
Right.
It blows my mind when I think about who's involved. First of all, not because of who they are,
Right.
but because how many partners do you have?
There are 7 of us in total.
Okay. Of those 7 people, how many are married couples?
This is a math problem. 6.
Okay.
3 couples
Yes.
and lovely John Kesson.
So Jesse,
Yes.
imagine Graffito. You're dealing with me, Mindy, Dave and his wife, Brooke, but not her fiance. Like, how do you make decisions? It must be, you can't imagine, right?
Yeah, it's horrifying.
This is what I mean.
But what's interesting is no one would know. I mean, you go into Mamala's, you go into State Park, you don't know, this is the fun part. You don't really know
There's
what
no
happens
like
behind the
wife
scenes.
chasing her husband with a butcher knife.
Well,
or-
sometimes your kids are running around, which I actually love.
My kids today, you want to know what they're doing?
Yes.
It's Good Friday, which apparently is,
a thing for non-Jewish people.
right, I've renamed it Bad Friday.
Not apparently. It actually is definitely.
It's a big
holiday.
thing, and I respect that.
Yeah.
But it's challenging when I was excited for my kids to be at school today. So today, somebody gifted one of my daughter's rollerblades, and we're actually a roller skate family. I'm not
I could
big
see
into
that.
rollerblades.
I could see that.
But apparently she knows how to use them, and so they decide to bring their rollerblades and roller skates to Mamala's, and they're skating around right now.
Good use of the space. It's like using an office for a podcast studio. It's
Which
not like anyone's in there.
Also, leading back to John Kesson, is where we're all like, John's not there right now. Hopefully he doesn't get mad when he comes in.
Well, my kids are a little younger. I didn't know people are still gifting rollerblades. Is that still a thing?
But they were
People rollerblade?
hand-me-downs. I couldn't think of the word.
Yeah, hand-me-downs.
Hand-me-down.
My kids are into
rollerblades.
like the scooters and bikes.
Oh, yeah, they scoot. too.
I feel very happy we've skipped the rollerblades. But anyways,
So
Anyways.
if you do see kids rollerblading around Mamala's when they do a pickup or something, those are your kids.
Those
People
are
can
our
make that
kids.
connection.
And then it's a good segue into business partners. I feel
Thanks for bringing us back.
I mean, first of all, how do you all meet and decide to go into business together? I know that probably not everybody was there from the start. So how do those relationships get added?
Okay. So the short story is Alon, who is my husband, Alon Munzer, worked at Solitaire in the year 2000, Y2K, with John Kesson. Alon and I opened Rachel's Kitchen. Just to go back a little bit, Alon and I met in 1995 at Northeastern University. But we opened Rachel's Kitchen in Bay Village in 2005. And I never wanted to own a restaurant. I always wanted to own some sort of business, but never a restaurant. But then this opportunity came up, and we opened this tiny little 170 square feet coffee shop. And then
Rachel, people probably now know it because Mike and Patty's is still there.
Correct. Mike and Patty's.
Okay. Yeah, this is before my time. That's why.
Mike and Patty's, pre-Mike and Patty, was Rachel's Kitchen.
Right. And then an actual Mike and an actual Patty bought it from us, who are both actually still friends of ours. And then they ended up selling it to not Mike and not Patty. Actually, I think there is a Mike involved. Anyway, so
there's a Mike, and they run Hot Box over at Bow Market,
which is so good.
Yeah,
I just had some pizza there from this past weekend.
Looks incredible. Okay, Rachel's Kitchen, 2005, Bay Village, very small neighborhood. There was a restaurant space going out in the neighborhood. We had both worked in restaurants for a long time, but neither of us are chefs, and everybody in the neighborhood was like, you should take over that restaurant space. And we were like, we can't do this alone. So we brought in some partners who had been in the restaurant business, worked at Solitaire, one of whom was John.
Okay.
That space took a year and a half of a liquor license being tied up and all sorts of chaos. And that's actually how John ended up in Toscanini's.
The time in between as you were trying to figure it out.
Waiting.
Yeah, as we were trying to figure it out. And finally, I definitely take the blame for being stubborn on that and not giving up. But finally, we did give up on that and ended up in Kendall Square and opened Hungry Mother. So we were 4 partners at that time, one of whom is no longer a partner. And we had Heather Moger, who's one of our partners now, started... She came in, it's like emblazoned in my mind. We had just been open. We opened in March of 2008. And in that summer, she walked in. She was like recently graduated from college. She came in on a Saturday night with her resume. She's like the cutest thing in the world. She had on a little top and she's like, I'm interested in a job. And we were like, what's wrong with you, girl? But then we ended up hiring her, and so that's how we got to know her first. And then...
Was she with Evan at that point?
I think they were
Who comes
together.
back into this story.
He comes back into the story. I think they were already dating, yes.
Okay.
Can I just say that even hearing this preliminary narrative in the beginning of the story about how all the partners came together, and regardless of whether or not, obviously some parts of it work and some parts may not, but this is kind of the beauty of entrepreneurship and small business development, and like hearing these stories, and this is such a big part. We've talked a lot, season 1, about kind of the intricacies of operating restaurants, how hard it is, like what goes into it. This just speaks to kind of how personal it is for so many restaurateurs and small business owners. And this is really nice. So keep going. I just wanted to put that out there because I think
nice.
This is part
Thank
of
you.
what gets us excited about working with small local owner operators is stories like this, the connections that are made, and the opportunities that are created for folks who, fast forward 10 years, now have equity in a business, in a community, which they also have equity in those communities. So anyways, that's my quick, keep going.
Thank you. Well, also just that, also just that we're like real people, we're not
exactly.
like, I'm not.
I could have just said that.
Rachel Munzer Miller, internet star. I'm just a person.
Well, not yet. Not yet.
Right. So that's how we met Heather. And then so in the year 2009, I had a baby in August. And while I was out on maternity leave, they hired a new sous chef named Tyler. And Alon came home and he was like, oh, we hired this new guy. He's really cool. And then his wife, Rachel, oh no, at the time they were just, I think they weren't even engaged yet, or maybe they were engaged, she was working at Formaggio, and she came to do pastries one day a week. They were both trained chefs. So then Alem was like, oh, and his wife, Rachel, is going to come work one day a week. You're really going to like her. And then I came back from maternity leave, or I don't remember, and we all met, and they were both really nice. Yeah.
So hold on, pause for a sec. So this is 2009. So at this point, 6 of the 7 Kern partners are working together in 2009 at Hungry Mother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's right. That's accurate.
Fact check.
So we're all there and blah, blah, blah. Life is good. Fast forward 2012, let's say. We saw an opportunity to take over a bar in the neighborhood that was that how it all started?
I mean,
I guess so.
That bar was 3 different things.
Yes.
I mean, in a short period of time.
Yes. Am I allowed to say names of things?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there
Names
was a
of
place.
people, names
Jesse's
of things,
liable,
names of
not us,
places.
so you can say whatever
Okay,
you want.
great. Perfect.
This is the
I didn't-
internet.
just remember-
This is just, you can say anything.
It's true. I checked it out.
For all of you that are listening, I did not sign a waiver. So, all right. So that place called Think Tank was a great addition to the neighborhood. And one day it just closed. And basically,
it was kind of a bizarre place.
The story was there were 2 partners, and one said he went this way, and the other said he went that way. And they were
which is what happens a lot, which is why I'm looking at your partnership and I'm like, I don't get this, how it's working.
So we inquired. I was friendly with the property manager at 1 Kendall Square and inquired about the space.
No idea yet. You just knew there was something open.
We just knew there was open space. We were 4 partners at Hungry Mother. I mean, talk about partnerships, and we were on top of each other. That was only 70 person occupancy. We needed to stretch out a little bit.
So the thought was, this is going well, but maybe we can distribute the work a little bit and expand.
Yes.
And give opportunities to folks that were on your team, because 70-seat restaurant.
We hadn't thought of that yet, but it came up. So... Well, yes. I mean, I guess give opportunities, but I think at that point we hadn't thought about partnerships.
Yeah, and there's 4 people that want equal responsibility, and there's only so much to do, and it's a certain size. So you're like, hey, maybe we can grow.
Maybe we can grow. So we started looking at that space and thinking about what we could do, and Tyler and Rachel at the time had their own catering business that they were doing on the side.
As if they weren't busy enough.
Right,
you know?
right. And so they were really interested in doing something on their own and starting a business. And we said, hey, listen, why don't we, I think, or maybe they approached us and they said, we're thinking, we want to do something on our own, but we know you guys are working on opening a new project. Can we'd be interested in being a part of that. So all of this is just lore in my mind. Yeah. Also, I don't actually remember any of these conversations, but that's how it happened.
Well, so just to be clear, so you went from 4 partners at Hungry Mother to then 6 partners at what is State Park.
No.
Okay.
We went from 4 partners at Hungry Mother so Tyler and Rachel said they were interested. And then Heather had been growing with our company also. She came from girl who walks into a busy bar on a Saturday night asking for a job to amazing star. She was the first person we ever trusted to close the restaurant. She's just a curious, ever learning, growing, wonderful person. And so, we saw that in her, and she was running the bar at the time. And, what we ended up doing was opening a bar, and we thought, why don't, would you be interested also? We're offering this to the Ragavim Polanski Oynuses, who's now the Sundits. Would you like to come on board like this also? So she said yes. So that's when we went to 7.
Yeah, so you were 4, you at that point, the Heather, Tyler, and Rachel come on.
As they called themselves junior partners.
And
so they had a small amount of ownership.
Okay.
They weren't
But
equal
is it in
partners.
the entire thing or just the new venture? Or is it too hard at that? Do you just say, look, this is an all-in sort of situation?
They just had ownership in, I don't remember. I really don't remember.
These are the things
It had to have been just the new entity.
I think it was just in State Park.
Okay.
That would have made the most sense.
Okay.
And did you guys have a lawyer, or you just kind of did this stuff?
I can't even. No, we have a lawyer who's basically, Alon's like,
Maybe we should have had the lawyer in.
Seriously.
oh my God.
How do you
First of
structure
all,
this?
you would love my lawyer. Alon's like, Rachel barely goes to the bathroom without calling the lawyer.
Let's give your lawyer a shout out. Who's your lawyer?
His name is David Lipschitz.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Siegel,
You know
Lipschitz, and Lowe. You know him?
Of him.
You know of him.
We worked on something with.
He's quite famous.
Wow.
He's not actually a restaurant attorney. He's an estate attorney.
Oh.
And he, we were introduced to him by an old accountant when we had Rachel's Kitchen. And he was like, in retrospect, he was laughing at our little $25,000 business purchase, but he liked us. And now he and his wife and family are actually really good friends of ours.
Great.
So he's
Sounds
good.
like a lot of work for him over the last 15
good.
years.
He's good because he rolls with the punches. So
Yeah.
he knows us,
Yeah.
and he's like, okay, and he helps us think things through. And
So State Park starts to happen.
Yep.
You've got new partners.
yep,
But I know that there are still people who haven't entered the picture yet.
right. So 2013, State Park opens. We have our new partners. 2015, we decide we have a break with our Hungry Mother partner,
Right.
and we decide to close Hungry Mother.
Yeah, which was not an easy decision, I'm sure. I mean, that
Not an easy
Yeah.
decision. And also, Evan actually worked at State Park from when it opened. I should say that.
because he was together with Heather.
He was
They
together
were-
with Heather, and he
Right.
worked on the bar, and he helped us in bar management and stuff like that. But he
So you go
didn't
from
own
7
it.
to 6.
I think we went from 7 to 7. Like, I think he
Right,
came
okay.
in right about that
Okay.
time.
All right.
I think when we closed Hungry Mother, I'm pretty sure that's when everybody came in.
And that's it. From the 7 people, that means you were married, Evan and Heather,
Yeah.
and then Rachel and Tyler.
Yeah. And then honestly, John gets the most credit for putting up with all of
Well,
us.
that's also my question. I mean, does he? We got to ask him. But whenever you have people pairing up and making decisions, how do you all decide when you have a decision to make? Do you have a vote? Do you get together as a group? How do you do things like that?
So, I do feel proud proud of us in our existence and how we've managed to do this. Having gone from a 4-person, me having gone from wanting to only be me doing everything to which having Alon is like, fine, the two of us come as a unit, but then to the 4-person partnership, which I found challenging because for a number of reasons, but personally because I always wanted to own my own business because I didn't want a boss. And when you have partners, you kind of have like, you are accountable to each other.
Right.
And what we've really learned what I really learned is mutual respect is the foundation that makes everything work. And if you don't respect one another, it's not going to work. And if you do respect one another, then you can have conversations, you can talk about things, you can make decisions. You don't always have to agree on things, but you can treat each other kindly.
So what you're saying is these decisions might seem like they'd be very hard, but if there's this mutual respect among a group, they're actually a lot easier than you might think.
Yes. I don't know about easier, but yes. I mean, it's not
as unfathomable.
It's
for
not
it
as
to happen.
unfathomable. And the other thing is communication.
Sure.
And so we have meetings every week.
And do you find that you guys generally agree anyway, because you did start this thing together. You obviously shared a vision. Perhaps these decisions aren't as difficult as I might think because you all are aligned.
Yes. I mean, big picture, we're all on the same page. And so certainly having an alignment of values helps. I think the other part about it is, I think what has also come with sort of age and maturity maybe is knowing that you don't have to be involved in every decision and being able to relinquish some control. So, for example, perfect example, we're working on getting printed materials, like takeout materials. And so the designers have sent back designs, whereas 4 or 5 years ago, we might have all had to have every part of that decision.
Right.
We talked about it as a group because it's we have to print like $40,000 worth of materials.
Yeah, right.
So,
I mean, everybody should know
so
what's
we are
going on.
we're all in on it, but some of us are able to step back and say,
You're better at this.
You're better at it.
Yeah.
You make the decision. I don't love this part of it, but I'm okay with it happening because, we have to move things along.
You all have these domains. Does that happen organically?
Oh, no. God, no. No, and that was definitely a learning process too. I mean, like when we first opened Hungry Mother, one partner was the chef, and then John and Alana and I do everything else. And that got old real fast. And after I went out on maternity leave, it sort of made sense for me to come back into a administrative position. And John is naturally, he's a trained front of the house person. That's where he fell. Alon fell into the bar, and we learned to divide up those roles. And it's still, honestly, it's still a work in progress among us.
That's nice. Hang on 1 second.
Leather District representing.
I'm not editing
is that a
this
common
out.
thing?
No. It's better. It's better than people screaming at each other.
It's part of the urban environment here.
Continue. Sorry.
No, that's it. It's just, there's some roles like Tyler is the chef, period. He runs the kitchens, and that it's very defined. And then me, because I carved out my position and said, this is my role, it's a little bit easier.
For the whole entire hospitality, Big Dipper hospitality group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Rachel, you have to understand, you're talking to an MBA over there and then an attorney over here. So I think there's just so much here that's so interesting to understand from an organizational perspective.
And for those listening, people that have their own businesses can't imagine, so that's where this is
No,
coming
I really do think, again, like I take pride in the fact that we've come this far, but let me tell you, it's really challenging. And we do, we're still analyzing our roles daily, weekly, changing things. We've been working on our organizational chart for 3 years that hasn't gotten.
That's because they're usually bullshit. Organizational charts.
But all partnerships are hard, by the way. Right?
Of course,
all of them.
Well, it's like it's a second marriage.
Well, all partnerships are hard. With your spouse, it's even harder. You know,
Well, here's what is interesting to me as I'm listening to you talk about all this. And I think our listeners come from different disciplines. Many of them touch retail or real estate, or just really interested in retail or real estate. But ultimately, there are all sorts of different kinds of equity and partnership, right? In all these businesses, there's actual equity, there's participation in profits, are, ways in which to structure distributions versus liabilities. Like, this is my head as an attorney that goes like, whoa, how do you manage all this? But it sounds like you have a relationship with your partners where you're all in it. Forget like percentages, but you're all in it at the same level as partners, which I think is really unique.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We have, just to be clear, we have some investors.
Yeah.
So there's some money in there that doesn't have a say in what goes on.
Just some more partners to throw in the mix.
Some more partners who are very amazing people.
I would imagine they trust you guys to make a lot of decisions.
They don't say anything, which is really kind,
right,
because there's already 7 of us.
Yeah.
So
one more question. I'm just trying to visualize this. When you have to make a big decision, and I know you just made one recently. You've got a new restaurant coming. Drew will probably take us there in a second. How do you just organize yourselves? Like, do you sit down on Zoom? Do you get in a room? Like, obviously it's different during the pandemic, but how do you even like, do you all just kind of get together and have a conversation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were meeting in person for a while, and then that started to feel dicey. And also the point that if one of us got sick, then we're all out. So we switched over to Zoom some months ago. I mean, we meet via Zoom every week, Wednesdays from 1 to 4, if you'd like to drop by.
Who puts the agenda together, out of curiosity?
1 to 4, Jesse.
1 to 4, yeah.
It's a sizable meeting.
It's a sizable meeting. And most day, it used to be 2 hours, and then we decided we really needed 3.
So who puts the agenda together?
So this is an evolution that happened, and this is part of growth. And I definitely give credit to Heather for being like always evolving and always tweaking, and she's a tinkerer and always wanting to make things better.
Heather instead.
I like
can
her
go.
A lot, yeah.
Sorry.
You think we should
Yeah,
have
bye,
Heather?
Rachel.
Yeah. All right. Do you want me to just call her? I'll put her on the mic.
Jesse always loves mentioning other great guests while we have a great guest in
Well,
here.
we could get her in tomorrow, still air this on Tuesday, and just...
You know what? Let's see how this goes. And then I'll decide if we're going to replace it with Heather's interview.
Yeah, that's fine.
So Heather puts together the agenda?
I've actually really been encouraging Heather to do more of these things. So maybe you should scrap me and bring her on.
No scrapping. We're on this.
All right.
We'll
So
see.
Heather
I'm
helps
scrap
us.
you.
Heather helps us make things better. And so one of the evolutions is that I think probably I always was the one running the meetings, and I was putting together the agenda and blah, 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 and just making up agenda topics. And then at some point we started having everybody contribute to the agenda. And then at some point Heather was like, why does Rachel always have to run the meetings and take notes? Let's
divvy it up.
Let's divvy it up. And so there it is. Now we have one note taker and one facilitator, and you're in charge of.
And does that rotate?
It rotates.
That's cool.
I revolutionized that because I felt like if we just rotated with the same rotation, then it got annoying. Like I'd always have to take notes after when
Right.
Heather's facilitating, whatever. So now I use the random number generator to make a new rotation every time.
This is all like very kibbutz-like.
A reference nobody's going to get.
That's
but
okay.
I thought that
You
was
guys
pretty
get
good.
it.
Yeah.
And Jesse, it's like thinking about all these partners makes you go crazy. But then you're like, hey, this sounds pretty good. Like somebody else thought that I should not be doing something. So they stepped in. That's a great partner. Heather, by the way, is very creative. She
Yes.
did just a little side note. She did those little dioramas in State Park, didn't she? Did she? You did those?
Whoa.
I had that so wrong.
That was my idea.
Air pound.
They're so good.
We all worked on them together.
Okay,
It was
all
a
right.
group project.
Okay.
It was that's
Sometimes you have-
another fun thing.
Sometimes you have to be wrong to get the truth.
let's
So
Back
here's
on track.
another
Let's get
one
back
thing
on
quickly.
track.
Here's another fun thing
I
about
wanna
our
know
group.
about
We
these.
definitely like to take. We definitely are. I think we're good about giving each other credit, but we also like to take credit. We're like, that's my point. I thought of the diorama. I get that one.
Thanks for listening to the Graffito podcast. I'm not sure we got to the secret sauce of Big Dipper Hospitality Group's partnership, but you can't say we didn't try. Part 2 of our interview with my buddy, Rachel Miller Munzer, is coming up. In the meantime, this is just a public service announcement to let you know that Season 2 episodes will be released every Tuesday by the time you wake up. Give us a listen when you commute to work, from your kitchen to your guest bedroom, now turned office. Just walk really, really slowly. For updates on all things Graffito Podcast, check out the graffito.com website and follow us on Twitter at Graffito Podcast. Don't forget to send us your questions to podcast@graffito.com, and maybe we'll answer them on the podcast. Comments are welcome too, of course, so keep that email handy. Okay, sit back, relax, and enjoy part 2 of our interview. Oh, and you may need a Yiddish dictionary to follow along.
opening another Mumla's
Yes.
in Brookline.
Yes.
Number 2. The first one is in Kendall Square.
It's sort of number 3 because we had a little outlet in Time Out, which is
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
right. Yeah,
currently
right.
on.
Yeah.
Time Out Market.
Yeah.
Oh, is it open?
No, it's not right now.
They've shut everything down.
But
in
they tried to
December.
open.
We opened last summer, and I will give a quick plug for Time Out because I think that they did an incredible job when they reopened. Everything, it was so set up so thoughtfully. It was a very comfortable, safe place to go. They had tons of outdoor seating. Inside was set up really thoughtfully. And, unfortunately, we just couldn't get the traction. So
Yeah,
hopefully when they open, when we reopen in the spring, that it will pick up more.
Yeah, they're as good as it gets. I mean, the Graffito team, as you might know, we went to Lisbon really just to see Time Out Market, the original.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're amazing operators. And is Josh still the GM?
Yeah.
Great. And
Yeah.
he's also a great guy.
He's also a good guy.
Okay, back to Mumla's.
Why a new venture at all right now?
So we opening in Time Out was was a trial for us to expand a little bit. We've just sort of always had our eye on maybe doing something else with Mamalas, trying out a more of a counter service, fast casual concept,
Thank God, it's so good.
which is what Mamalas in Kendall Square is now and will be. And so we've just always had our eyes open. I mean, if Dave were here, he would know that I've talked to him.
You obviously like starting and trying new concepts, but there's something about Mumla's you just
Yeah.
want to keep building on.
Yes. I mean, this is where I think we vary on the spectrum of our visions as a partnership, and they also change individually day by day because Mumla's has been a long ride and a bit of a love-hate roller coaster. But it's obviously got a brand, and we knew when we opened that there was sort of a hole in the market for
Definitely.
Jewish deli. Not that there aren't delis, but there's very few left in this city. And
You're also expanding the reach with your suburban pickups, which
exactly.
I've taken advantage of.
yeah.
Yeah.
So just, knowing that we could expand it and it would be well received. I
Right.
think it
Right.
just, it makes sense.
I suppose if you're to start a new concept during COVID or around COVID, going with a brand that's already known is a little bit of a safer thing to do.
Yeah. I forgot a big piece of this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, let's do it.
COVID brain. Part of expanding to Time Out was not just to be able to try out more, but because we're producing everything out of Kendall, we needed more. Our economics weren't really working, and so we had the capacity to produce more, but not enough people to sell it to. And so being able to go to Time Out enabled us to continue to produce with the same staff
Without having to create another production.
And so
Just-
now, similar idea in growing here, but we'll
Interesting.
max out there.
And you're going into Kendall you're really right on the edge between the residential and the commercial district in Kendall, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I would say you're
East
more
Cambridge.
East Cambridge, yeah.
Yeah.
But in Brookline, this is a densely populated residential only district, which
Yeah.
I'm sure went into your thinking.
Yeah. I mean, I personally have had my eyes on Washington Square for a few years, just thinking like we don't need to go to Coolidge Corner.
Yeah.
There's, wonderful Michael's Deli is there.
And Zoftig's is there too, right?
Zoftig's is there, and Couples is there. We live down, I don't know if you know this, but we live, Alon and I live in Brookline down closer to St. Mary's. So that I think would make a little bit of sense, but we have Time Out right there. And so Washington Square just has this actually really cool dining scene.
Yep.
And it's, I went there with David Lipschitz a couple of years ago.
Of course.
And we, on a Monday night, it was after some conference we were at, it was a Monday night, and we were going to stop and get dinner. And there was there was a line at Barcelona, there was a line at Burrow Bar. We ended up going to Stoked, which it wasn't our third choice. We love Stoked, but
We drive there from Newton to Stoked to get their pizza.
Those
and I
guys
think
are
people are
amazing.
going to come from Newton to...
Well, and that's the thing is there's all these wonderful businesses in the
Yeah.
area, and there's just I don't know. It seems like a good spot.
But you still have to raise some money.
But we still had to raise some money. Nice segue.
Yeah.
Good at this.
Drew, did you see that?
Yeah, I
amazing.
saw
I
it.
felt weird about it, and I looked at you. I thought maybe you'd be mad at me.
I am mad at you because I had still another question, and now I'm going to ruin the segue.
I took this pen. I could write down, but you
No,
still
I
have
have
to
it.
make some
We'll
money
get
so
back
we
to
can
it.
write it back.
Really, don't
No.
futz with the pen.
Okay, let me interject
Sorry.
one more second. So Brookline, to be clear, full kitchen, or is it another outpost, so to speak?
It's an outpost. It's going to be, we're not cooking there.
Okay,
So we're going
okay.
to produce in Kendall.
So pick up, and I'm sure some...
Well, we'll have a sandwich line. We'll
right.
have presses. We can
Very
have,
much like
there's-
Time Out.
Very much like Time Out.
Okay.
But we'll have a full menu.
Okay.
And a lot of case freezer,
Sure,
fridge cases,
of course.
and stuff like
yeah,
that.
right. Which has been very popular, especially in the last 12 months.
Yes.
So you find a spot,
Yep.
and then you're like, we need money.
Yes.
See, dude, I'm trying to I'll just replay Jesse's first comment.
Great segue.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Man, I don't get enough credit for these segues.
Really
great,
good
Drew.
at posting this podcast.
These aren't plugged in, these microphones, by the way.
God,
This is never
a
going to air.
practice. I can't do this again.
All right, you guys ready to start?
Yes.
That joke never gets old for me. I don't know why.
It gets old for me. Keep going, Rachel.
Do I sense some tension in this partnership? Did you
No.
really just invite me here for partnership counseling?
I'm just excited to be back recording a podcast.
I want to hear about money.
Money.
That's what
Let's
makes
talk
me-
money.
yeah.
All right. So I get introduced to this guy, Ross Chanowski, and by Jeff Gable. Do you know Jeff Gable?
I do know Jeff Gable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
He
Where's
does like some
Jeff?
pop-up.
Kitchen Kibitz.
That's right, Kitchen
okay.
Kibitz.
Okay.
He's like the ubiquitous Jew. Like he just like makes. He's a good shidduch maker. So
I'm going to have a glossary in this episode.
A Yiddish glossary.
So he, for those of you that don't know, a shidduch is a match in Judaism. He made a match between myself and Ross Chanowski because Ross was starting this new business called New Market, NUMARKET.co, for those that are interested.
How did she find another pen?
I don't know. She's playing with it.
Is it making noise? I wasn't clicking.
No, you're just
Sit on
banging it. Look, can you
You
look at how
can
I'm
hear?
sitting? I sit on my hands.
I make
Drew,
Jesse sit
You
on
can
his
hear
hand
that?
sometimes.
I
need
mute my
to-
phone. I mute.
You know
my-
what? Most people can't, but I seem to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I can hear it.
You could hear the pen?
Yeah.
Sorry.
And all the listeners can.
And Alana's at
People are
home
gonna be very-
cursing me. He's
People are
like,
gonna be- Look at how I'm sitting
he's
right
like, you're embarrassing my family. I've trained you better.
People are going to be afraid to come onto this podcast. We like handcuff their hands.
All right, so
You meet- yes.
Jeff matches this up, and so that just because I've own a few restaurants and have been through the process before, and he thought maybe, oh, you should talk to my friend Rachel, and she might have some good insights for you on what you're doing, and so we connect, and I'm like, blah.
And just to be clear, Ross's concept for New Market was to be a crowdfunding platform.
Yes. So the concept is it's crowdfunding, but it's really, it was born out of COVID. And the idea is not just crowdfunding, but to make a sustainable platform for the business, for small, not just restaurants, for small businesses. And while also, creating community and rewarding your customers.
Rewarding them, but also trying to get them as lifetime customers
And
in a
to
way,
get-
because what you're doing is, correct me if I'm wrong, if you donate some
It's
money.
not a donation.
It's not a donation.
This is a big
an
that's a big
advanced
sticking
purchase.
point.
Okay. What would you?
It's we call it a contribution.
Okay. Excuse me.
It's basically an advanced purchase.
No, I
If it's,
with a premium.
I like that because you're thinking and looking at it
it's
in
a
a different way.
contribution. And I think it's a hard mental shift. And I told Ross at the end of this, I was like, maybe I figured it out. Your tagline should be, it's not a donation, because it is a hard mental shift. It's a contribution.
It's like the next generation of the Kickstarter and a bunch
So
of
if you make a contribution, you get a percentage of that back as credit to the restaurant.
You get all of it back plus 20%
Plus 20
more.
Oh, all of it back.
All
Drew,
of it
didn't
back
you give
plus
money?
20%.
I
Did you not
did,
figure
but I
this out?
misunderstood it.
Well, so that's the whole thing about it is
That's
yes.
simple. You give $100 and you get a $120 gift card to Mamala's.
But you
no, you give $100
It's quite the concept. Sorry,
and
Ross.
you get $10 a month to come to Mamala's for a year.
plus 20%.
And then that is plus 20%.
I
And
didn't know
over
that.
12 months, that's $120.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I misunderstood. So did the rest of the Graffito team. Because Graffito gave $500 because I thought it'd be a great thing for us to like have a couple lunches
Yeah, why
together.
not?
And I assumed that $500 was actually $600. But what you're saying is that $600 is spread out over 12 months.
It's $50 a month. So you're going to have 12 lunches with us.
And that's the great thing for
Great.
you is that you get people to come back.
Yes.
Over an extended
and you don't
period
get
of
that
time.
$600 hit one time.
correct.
It's spread out. We're
Correct.
starting to get this.
It's brilliant. I mean, like, listen,
It is
it's
really
a
smart.
brilliant concept. And so, I mean, think about
and
that.
we're going to end up spending $200, not $50.
Exactly.
Boom.
Exactly.
Yeah. And for me,
And-
with my donation, I'll get $3.
It's not a donation. It's a contribution.
Yeah.
And some people, and then there's the whole thing of how many people are going to redeem it. I'm
Yeah,
very
some
curious
people
to
might,
see that.
'cause they
Some people
expire,
might.
right?
They expire. Yeah. I mean, we're the best thing would be if everybody redeemed them and you came in and we saw
course.
your faces every day.
Yeah,
But
of
it'll be
course.
really interesting. I think it's, I can't speak highly enough of this concept and how great I think it is.
Yeah, it's neat.
So he approached me just to, I think, have a chit chat, and then I went blah, and I was like, great, we're opening a new business. How about we fundraise with you?
Try it, yeah.
And I mean, the concept is really for small businesses, community funded. He's thinking, the next ones that you see come out are going to be like $25,000 and like $10,000 to buy a new stove. And I was like, I want to raise $250,000. And he was like, okay, so great. And then he talked, I'm going to say us, but it really was me because I'm the stubborn one. He talked me down to $180,000 and there it is. And then we spent a month launching. So he New Market launched with us. We're the first.
That's why I
concept.
thought maybe, you had
Yeah.
something
Yeah, I
behind
totally
it, yeah.
didn't get it. But in fairness, I think everyone on our team who supported, and I think many of us did, it was like, we're going to support because it's you guys and it's Mamala's. It wasn't about like the...
But Jesse,
I'm thinking about...
people probably didn't understand Kickstarter when it first started.
Right.
I mean, it's a different concept.
It's a different concept. And also thinking myself about trying to put myself into, I think, the shoes of our contributors and also, for the next one that he launches or
And how does
that they
Ross,
launch.
how does his company make money? They take a piece?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They take a percentage, but it's so cut and dry. They launch the business, they build out the website. This is the other part that really is excellent, is that it's very cut and dry, simple. They just take a piece off the top. If you meet your goal, as soon as you meet it, they deposit the money 2 days later, take their piece off, and then they facilitate all the promotional credits throughout the next year.
Yeah.
Cool.
And if they
Yeah.
do not meet it, do you get the money or no?
No.
Just like Kickstarter or
You
one of
have
these?
to meet it. And
And you guys were hustling to meet it.
it was one of those things where
I almost contributed twice.
people did
did.
at the end.
Yeah.
We were hustling. By the time we got to we finished on a Wednesday, and by Monday we were going hard. And I was like, I can't have this go all the way to Wednesday. I'm putting my foot down. We're making this thing end. And we actually got somebody really nice came in at the end and said he would contribute $12,500 and to get people to match to get us to the
great.
end.
Great.
So just to be clear, so now everyone who contributed has a little bit of equity in your business now?
No.
No, they shut up.
Don't. Somebody's going to just listen to that piece and they're going to be like,
So now you
I want my...
So now you have 482 partners. That would grew quickly.
Try 2017.
Oh, amazing. That's great.
Yeah.
That's so great.
How many did you say?
2017.
It was over 2,000 people.
That's
Yeah.
It was
awesome.
crazy. And I think I still haven't processed the magnitude of that, what we did with
Is
that.
180 enough? I mean,
No, God, no.
What does 180 go towards? Like,
Well,
what is that? What can that do?
We don't need to do a lot there. So when we walked in, the space that we're going into was a Dunkin' Donuts, and it was rebuilt in 2014.
Oh,
That's
so
that space right in the corner, right?
It's not on the corner. It's next to the Abbey.
On the other side of the Abbey.
So one side
And
was
the
a Starbucks
that just closed is
Yeah.
the other side.
Yeah.
Got
gotcha.
it.
That's
We
right.
were just there.
Yep.
Yeah.
We looked at the Starbucks space also.
Yeah. That would require a lot of money.
That would require a lot
Yeah.
of money. It needed a lot of work. But this, on the other hand, was, it's really turnkey. We could have
It's
just
new.
walked in
Yeah.
and gone. And if
So the
if I had
you
my
didn't even need the
druthers, I would have just
180.
slapped some paint on the wall and opened.
Rachel, can you explain when you say turnkey, just for our listeners, like what do you mean when you say it was turnkey?
Meaning, as I was just saying, we could have just put some different
Paint.
non-orange, change the orange to
Yeah.
a salmon, and
But you still need equipment.
we need
You still-
equipment.
yeah.
We would need equipment. There's no equipment in there, but all the all the systems were in place. I mean, the
Like electrical,
furnishings,
plumbing, HVAC was
Yep.
all got it.
everything's good.
And that equipment is expensive.
Equipment is expensive, and we do need. The truth is that we do need to make it functional for what we're doing,
Yeah.
and so that's what the money is going to go into. $180,000 is not enough to do that, and we'll end up financing the equipment. But it, aesthetically, it needs to look like a Mamala's and not like a Dunkin'
Right.
Donuts that
Right.
we slap paint on the wall.
Yeah.
Kind
And
of similar colors. You can make
that's
that
right.
work.
That's right.
Wow.
Hey, Drew,
Yeah.
we covered a lot here.
Yeah.
I just think this has been really interesting.
I mean, I'm just thoroughly impressed. So I'm just so excited to have you here and to just tell a little bit about your, what's going on in your story. We could definitely have gone more into the crowdfunding aspect, but I mean, I think that platform's pretty awesome.
Yeah, maybe Ross one day can come in
Yeah.
season 4.
Another opportunity there.
Season 4.
Yeah. What was
Ross
the
would
term
love
for
to
the
come
guy that could makes connections?
What do you call somebody who makes a shidduch?
A
A shidduch is the connection.
It's not a shidduch. It's a oh god.
Because-
I can't believe this is. I'm
a
blanking. on it.
shadchan.
No. Not no. It's It's a there's a term for matchmaker.
it's not a mensch.
It's not a mensch.
Yeah.
It's not a shadchan. Isn't that
It's
a
a-
matchmaker?
Maybe that's Hebrew, but there's a Yiddish term for a
it is.
matchmaker.
Right. That's what I'm trying to think of. Next time on the Graffito podcast.
I bet there's some Jews listening, like just screaming right now. Like, idiots. It's all right.
Rachel, awesome for you to come down.
Thank you for having me.
You've got your first shot, which is very exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Jesse and I are almost there on that, but it's very nice for you to come in and have a chat with us.
Yeah, and just for those that are still listening, we're very socially distanced here. It feels very safe in this
Thank you.
Graffito podcast
feels safe too.
studio.
It's safe enough. If you had to sneeze, I'd ask you to do it the other way. But I mean, it's pretty good.
No, even the seed. That's a long distance to travel.
Yeah, I guess I have powerful sneezes. So
I just heard on Tracy Chang's podcast.
the one
that-
she did with us.
Yes,
Yeah.
that a sneeze travels 29 feet.
Jesse just left.
I know he's got more important. He's done. He's got more important things to do now.
All of a sudden, in my periphery, someone's walking across the office.
Sorry, it's driving me nuts. What's a matchmaker in Yiddish? This is driving me bananas.
It'll be a good way to end the episode.
Okay, good idea.
To announce what that is.
Okay, good.
What you got, Jesse?
Yenta?
A
Oh,
yenta?
a yenta.
You would say a yenta is a matchmaker?
That's what you were trying to think of?
No, it's not actually what I was trying to think of. You were right. What did you say it was?
Shadchan?
Yeah, you're right. I don't know what I was thinking of.
I mean,
I wouldn't
Jeff
say
is
a
a total yenta, though.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say a yenta as
As
a
am I.
matchmaker. That
Yenta.
wouldn't
What
be-
word am I thinking of?
What do you mean?
Like, yenta's like a word for, like, my grandmother is a yenta. She's out there. She's kibitzing with everybody. Like,
I wouldn't even. Some grandmas are not yentas even. I don't know.
I thought yenta was German. It's Yiddish.
Yenta's Yiddish.
Yiddish. It's a gossipy person.
Yeah.
A yenta. Like a little
And like yentaing it up is a verb.
yentaing it
Maybe in
up.
Kansas
Like
City.
if, you know,
Kansas
my
City.
mom and her friends were yentaing
We didn't even
it
get
up.
to talk about Benji's.
I know.
That would have been a good one.
Yes.
Rachel, thank you so much for coming in. You're discovering why it's so hard to end episodes because it sounds so good to talk to people with headphones. But we should end this. Thank you so much for coming. I know you'll be back at some point. I know we'll have at least one of your partners in here at some point to confirm or deny all of your claims about partnerships.
That sounds amazing.
And everybody should check you out in Brookline. When is that going to open? What's the plan? Which I know you can't really hold yourself to.
Summer?
So
Summer.
soonish.
Summer
Soonish,
of this
yeah.
year.
20, which is another,
Great.
2021.
Just a few months. I
Soon.
think
Great.
2-3 months, something
Great.
like that.
I hope you keep coming to Melrose. The suburban drops are great.
I can't wait for summer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And thank you so much.
Thank you guys
All right.
for having me.
That was great. Thanks.
Okay.
You just heard the Graffito Podcast, episode 1 of season 2. Check back in with us next Tuesday, April 13th, for an all-new episode. Our guest will be Liza Shirazi from Revival Kitchen and Cafe. For those of you that don't know, that's Jesse's sister, so this should be interesting. Goodbye for now.